Today, I'm talking to a person with strong leadership mindset from Nigeria. Someone who started his journey from chemical engineering as a career. He's a person that believes that entrepreneurship remains the gateway to shaping the lives of people and the society. A passionate individual who strongly believes that change doesn't just happen by sitting around. It happens by getting involved in the process of governance, even from the grassroots. His name is Engineer Splendor, and I hope you get value from this conversation.
My name is Splendor. Chukwudi Splendor. I'm elated to be your guest in this powerful platform. Thank you once again. I came from a humble beginning. I had a parents that were primary school teachers. And, of course, there's this belief that when you are from such a background, you need to put in extra effort to meet your daily demands. I remember in those days, they used to, tell us that if you are from a family background of such nature, you need to be well read. So that was the kind of background we had. So I did my primary school under them, then my secondary school a little bit, and before I went to special science school from JS3 to SS3, a special science school EHOB. That was where I did my WAEC. And then from there, I got admission to study chemical engineering to Engr State University of Science and Technology, now Institute. In those days, when you want to choose courses, you want to study in the university, there are a lot of factors. Factors that may emanate from your friends, so your father's friend. I had always wanted in those days to be called a medical, I wanted to go into a medical profession then. It has always been mine. I want to be a medical doctor. It was because it was in vogue. Until I met a man who asked me, he said, Splendor, what do you want to read? I said, I want to read medical medicine. He said, why not try chemical engineering? I said, chemical engineering. Then it was I think it was only Institute and University of Lagos at that time that was offering that course at that time. So I said, chemical engineer, what do they do? He said, they work in oil company. I said, oil company, wow, that should be very good for me, because I was thinking of making much money. So because of that, I have to, as a small-minded person there anyway, I now have to write for chemical engineering, and I equally had to pass through special pre-science then, and I was among the best students in the special science. That's very year we did our remedial, our special programs, and I was given admission to read chemical engineering. So I spent 5 years at the university then, and I graduated as a chemical engineer. Then I remember one of the major challenge we had studying engineering then without visiting lab, studying engineering without any practical experience. Studying engineering, we are book engineers. I must have to emphasize on this. I don't know whether the situation have changed before now, but what we met on ground was that there are a lot of courses we did that ought to be practically backed, but nothing of such was done. So what we were just left with then was, you read a lot of books, not like today where you have internet access, where you can research on your own. But we were able to get focused and then did a lot of self-efforts to make sure that we succeeded. And there we are as a chemical engineer. as a chemical engineer, I did my project in a tomato puree. What is tomato puree? Tomato puree is just like tomato paste. I had a vision of how to conserve enormous potentials in tomato industry. Tomato here, you see a lot of farmers producing tomato because it is something that if you don't take good care of them, they will just waste. So I had in mind, there's this thing that is always born in me. I always want to try to discover challenges, problems. And once I see any problem, the next thing that will come to my mind is how to bring a solution or solve that problem. That gives me an idea of a business venture. That's the way I discover business opportunities. Look for problems. When you discover problems, now think about possible solutions to that problem. Those possible solutions, if you can address those challenges, definitely there are businesses that we can come out of it. That's the way to go. So that was what happened, and I did that research with some of our friends, and then we came out with a very good result. So today we have a lot of tomato pests here and there, and there's so many people, read and they saw such things, and they picked from them. Today we have tomato purees in sachet form, so many places. That was the engineering aspect of my life. But beyond engineering, I was thinking of how do I make greater impact? Going fully into industrial engineering, it requires a lot of money. And then it requires time to grow a business venture. Or more so, you might decide to go into oil, petroleum industries, and then you may have the money, but you may not be able to impact more on people's life. How do I influence greater number of people? That was my innate concern. So that was when I began to think of venturing into politics, because I saw politics as a platform for influence. I saw politics as a platform to reach greater number of people. I saw politics as a platform where you can, if harnessed very well, you can give leadership to greater number of people. You influence so many people. So that was what led to my becoming a politician. Not necessarily the money. There are a lot of things that drive people to do things. Money, whatever that, yeah. But that was my aim for getting into politics. So for me to get myself in politics, I have to venture into studying law.
Right. You talked about, your venture into politics, and I'm very, very much excited about your reason for going into politics, which is being able to influence more people and put leadership in the hands of a lot of responsible young people as well, and to affect change in society. So please go ahead.
Thank you very much. So, like I said, I ventured into politics not because of the money or the affluence that are associated with Nigerian politicians, but as a result of my interest in touching lives of greater number. So that was the backbone. That was the reason why I ventured into politics. And because of that reason, I have been in politics since 1999. Even when I was in the university, I relate with some of these politicians. And one of the things that down from the village, I started political moves from my own kindred village. I have held position of becoming a secretary. I joined them, the kindred meetings. From there, I went to become the general secretary of the Thai Union, which I held for years. I became the secretary general of a brethren association in our whole town. So I had been, trying to practice leadership at various levels, even while I was in the university. So that because I know leadership is very, very it's a very important to influence the younger generation, to influence greater change, to touch greater number of lives. So as such, I knew that it's something that I needed to take time to understudy. I needed to start it where it was so difficult, but that because at those levels, there was nothing like remuneration. There was nothing like wage. There's in fact, you have to give everything even from your pocket. You give your time, you give your intellectual, you give your virtual everything for you to succeed at those levels. So that's at the level that we are now. It's now the level of probably you want to become a local government chairman or commissioner or whatever. These are the level that people want to go and start there without having experience of the little ones you can do as a service backed or a service packed pack for you to be trained to become a greater leader that will influence a greater number of people. So because of that, I saw the need to go into law because there was an experience I had. There was an experience I had when I was serving the Thai Union, and it wasn't palatable. So it was one of the things that forced me into going to law because of the kind of person I am. I am a person that do like to do things according to the law, according to the tenets of the Constitution. But we had an issue in the community that raised a lot of, because I was not basically a law person, it was very difficult to me to handle those issues at that time. So there was a lot of intimidation. There was a lot of, people that don't want to see you because of your policies, because of your insistence on policies that are for the best interest of the general masses, rather than see they were working against us to frustrate us. So it was that led me to enter into law.
You transition from the passion you have. Say you want to study medical, you want to go into medical studies, medicine, or specifically, and then you got convinced by an elderly person that, hey, why can't you look at chemical engineering? He told you what the chemical engineering entails, and then you were wowed that, okay, I think this is what I want to do. Then also touching on the side of politics and also entering the understanding, coming to see the understanding of what leadership is. So because you have this multi-diverse experience in chemical engineering, law, politics, and then leadership in politics, how are you able to kind of balance these things? Because it is a lot of things for one person to do, and it's a lot of things for one person to manage. How are you able to balance all these things, all your transitioning and all your experience in all the fields that you've touched in?
Yeah, good question. Actually, it's not a very easy transition program, but just like I said, there is that inner desire in you to affect greater number of the people,
right,
at any given time. That is the cause of it. Determines the vector and the velocity of my move at any given time, affecting the greater number of people. In chemical industry, I made my impact. You did some little research, I may not have been the only person that did that, but today, that same research we did today the results is always, people are using them in a lot of companies today. That's the tomato puree, the sachet tomatoes that people are using today. Now, but I would have been boxed to a particular company influencing probably about 10, 20, 100 persons within the sector. But I needed a greater platform to influence a greater number of people. So I have to move. Now, during the law thing, I had the privilege of pretending over National Association, that's the Law Student Association of Nigeria, National Open University. And we had our branches virtually in all the states of the federation. So I've been able to see a bigger and larger number of people. We had about close to 15,000 for law students and graduates. I was heading at National Open University. So I was happy because within me, I said, yes, I think I am happy trying to doing what I have always desired to do. So it gave me a broader view, a broader, happiness that I am achieving what I have called to do. So that was the driving force. So that did not still stop me from once in a while, I've been able to I and my friend, we set up a company called PIFI.
Right. So I think in a way, how you're able to balance all of these things is tied to your initial passion in making impact in a broader view, where you can get a platform that, okay, this platform, I am sure that I'm able to impact more people. And in some way, if young people are thinking in this direction, I strongly believe that, well, it would even cause more people to be able to say they are giving up themselves for leadership, selfless leadership. Because, people define leadership differently. Say, some people will say leadership starts from leading yourself. Some people will say leadership starts from act of service to other people and to yourself. But whatever the case is, it has to be tied to your passion. And this is me saying, how you're able to manage all of these things are very, very commendable. So let's talk about your aspiration for governance. Right. You've touched on leadership in the student community. You've touched on leadership a bit in the political stage. You've also touched on leadership or leading yourself to be able to do the things that you're doing. Now, what made you aspire to go into governance at this era, at this point in time in the political arena?
Sometime about 2 years ago, I had one of the aspiring local government a candidate at that time. I went to him and encouraged him in my own little way, by the way of advice, telling him those things I think that if he eventually wins, that if he will be able to put them in place, that will affect greater number of people. I was able to pinpoint so many areas I personally desired him to see the reason why he must touch these areas that will affect greater number of people. I was disappointed, greatly disappointed, that for the 2 years he was there, in fact, it was even difficult for me to see him, to remind him. In fact, I went even as far back as telling him, taking him to CBN, because I have some friends in CBN. He said, work with these people. Try to see that if there are things you can access, there are loans, there are helps you can access from CBN, with which you can use to affect the life of people, not just the monthly allocation. You improve, you move, you drive, you see how you can look for and even create opportunities to help your people. But all of these things were not done. They were not done. At the end of the day, I said, no. It is not always good. When you have some ideas, you might have some ideas. You want to push it to people to implement it, to look at them very well, analyze them. Of course, it depends on what brought them into the system. It depends on their motivation. It depends on what they had in mind. So when you see such people not, seeing the things the way you are seeing it, you may not blend it because their motivation differs. So I felt if I have this motivation to affect the greater number of people, I need to go for that platform that will give me that opportunity to address the greater number of people. That was what led me to venture into politics. I was in a meeting. I went for a meeting at the local government then. Somebody walked to me. He said, Splendor, are you here? I said, yes. He said, Splendor, why are you here? I said, why are you asking? He said, I don't expect you to be in a political gathering. I said, why? He said, you are so decent that you don't supposed to be here. Oh, I laughed. I said, bros, wow. Thank God that you made this point. Let me tell you, if somebody is sick, who do you call? He says, a doctor. Is a doctor sick? He said, no. Therefore, you need a doctor, a healthy doctor to cure a sick person. He said, yes. Therefore, you will need a healthy somebody to cure a sick politics. He looked at me. I said, you are there. I said, yes, I am here. And that's why I'm here. Things are not going right. We need people like me and others to come and bring about the desired change. That was why I plunged into it. I said, I'm going to contest. But one thing is sure, one thing is germane. You must have to set your priorities right. Set your purposes right. Have a means of livelihood, no matter how small, no matter how meager. Make sure that you don't rely on the things that these big politicians will give you, the things that will offer you for you to progress politically. They have got to a lot of times where some of their offers will say, no, I can't take this because I know for such offer, there's always something that you're expected to do, which you ordinarily cannot do there. So that was the journey. So when it came that we have a new sheriff in Khan, the governor of Enugu State, in the person of Dr. Pitamba, when he was sworn in, he came with another mantra, to resurface, to change Enugu, change the way things are. He said he needs technocrats. He wants people that can help him to repackage Enugu. I said, this man is the kind of my personal. He came into politics, left for some time, went into the wider world, explored both industrial, whatever, and he's back to politics. And he's coming with a different mantra. I think I will work with this man. So that was what gave me a motivation to go to my local government and tell them that I want to contest for local government chairmanship of Oji River. I said, people started reacting.
You talked about entrepreneurship while you were, responding earlier. And a lot of young people, well, they also want to go into entrepreneurship, leadership, and all of those things. Some people, it's just all talks when they talk about these things. But specifically, your own entrepreneurial journey, what is the specific lesson that you learned that made you identify, or what is that thing that made you identify that entrepreneurship must be added to the ventures that I have to also make positive impact?
Now, entrepreneurship, to my own understanding, is building a business of your own. What is the essence of being a business? Like I said initially, you have to identify a problem. Once you identify a problem, try to delve on solving, bringing a solution to that problem. Once you're able to do that, you've already started a business. Now, one of the problems that I discovered that the young people normally have, they try to place the cat first before the horse. They try to place the cat before the horse instead of placing the horse before the cat. The issue is that, well, whenever you have a misplaced priority in anything, you are bound to fail. I need this money now. No. You say, I need to solve this issue now. If you solve this issue, that issue that you solve will bring money. Let me give you an instance. When I was in the university, Like I've told you the background, my background, and as a state university, then it used to be very expensive. So I needed to do some certain things to augment the money that I normally get from my parents. So what did I do? I searched through the university. What do I do to make money to help the ones that my parents will always give to me? Do you know what came into my mind? I remember projects. This project that's in schools. Now I don't know whether they still do it. You have to buy the project submit it. If you have not submitted, if you didn't submit your project, if you fail to submit your project in the university, you will never graduate. I said yes. And I kept observing. I discovered that during the time of defense of projects, you see a lot of students running helter-skelter. They say the typist did not meet up, my partner did not meet up, and I cannot submit. Oh, it means I'm not going to graduate. I said, wow, I've discovered a business. What do I do so that this kind of stress will be removed from these final year students at that time? I started developing an idea. So, and the moment I finished developing the idea, one of the things that I did was to go to those final year classes. And I told them, I said, look, I don't want you people to run into danger. And at the end of the day, some of you will not graduate because you were unable to meet up with your project. The very day they gave you, assign a project as supervisor to you, come to me, I will tell you what to do. What did I tell them? If you are given a topic, write chapter 1. If once it's approved, send it to me. I have a group of typists I work with that time. They will start typesetting there. Immediately they are getting to chapter 2, they are bringing it chapter 3, chapter 4, and we print them in a smaller script to give to them so that they can edit them too. So once those things are done, those bags, the cover, I will prepare them ahead of time. I have machines. I procure machines for making such cover. We get those things ready. Even if it is in just 2 hours for them to defend, their project will be ready. And that was the problem I was able to solve within the university that time. In fact, that kind of thing, it started selling itself. Now somebody will call this place, go and look for Splendor. Somebody will go and look for Splendor. Splendor knows what to do to make sure that nothing will stop you from graduating. I was living like a big boy within that period. I think I was in third year 14 in university. But I was feeding some of our mates. They come to my house because there will always be food in the Splendor's house because money will always come. Even though it's not a big money per se, but you always have something to eat any day you come to Splendor's house. That was how I discovered. So at this level, G River, for instance, there are a lot of things, ideas all over the places. Like Oji River is located at a particular place, it's located at the border. It has a lot of water, rivers, traversing Oji River here and there. I think about 2 major rivers traverse Oji River. What are we doing with those rivers? They are flowing, they are there, year in, year out. And then our people go to market to buy fish. But you see people within the town and even so many other places, you see people, farming fish in their compound. Whereas we have a river in Oji. So why can't we convert this river and all these empty lands and rechannel this water, dam them and get fish and start harvesting fish and then supply Enugu State, not just Enugu State. We supply the whole Nigeria. Very, very possible. So it's an opportunity. And it's something I'm thinking. And once we work on this, it can give us revenue. For instance, there's another problem that I discovered in Oji River. That's the issue of there's something we call black fly. It's associated with fast-flowing rivers. I don't know whether in our own place, it causes, that's what we call onchocercal vivaris. I may not, that's not my area. But I know it sounds, and I remember when I was still a kid, we had the presence of the World Health Organization. They have a kind of outpatient hospital, a smaller hospital there, where they give people some There's a drug, I think Metizan at that time. That's problem causes river blindness. That's why in our area, it's very, you see a lot of people suffering that river blindness. I see it as a challenge, but if I can produce a solution to that problem, I'm going to spearhead building of a hospital, a specialist in eye issues, so that it will now serve as a solution point to the challenges in that community and bring funding for the community too. So these are the way I look at things and discover business areas and how to venture. So money is not the first thing. The first thing is being able to identify the challenge. Sit down, look at the challenge, puff out solutions. That's what I call, bringing in disruptive innovation into your thinking. Not the usual things people normally do. People go to hospital to treat their eye, they will go. No, think beyond the normal people and look for abnormal. For instance, we are talking of the problem of electricity here and there. If you are not connected to NEPA grid, you cannot have light. And light is very essential for you to do anything. And then you are thinking only until I connect, buy poles, go out, get poles and buy, and then connect it to the national grid for me to power my local government. No, I can't think at that level. I'm thinking of what are the possibility of harnessing solar power to power an environment, power the local government. But these are something we can think out of box. How do I power this local government to be functional? You get solar. If it's not solar, you get wind. And then make those things work within the state. At least people will be happy working and they will be giving you resource. There are so many other things in that local government that they have vast of land, arable lands. Few days, I spoke with some of my friends who are in some South Africa. I said, we have young men, youths, young people who plays ball very well in my local government. Is there no possibility of bringing some of these your friends who are playing footballs in all over the world? Why can't we think of building an academy, sports academy in Ojiriva? They were all happy, say, yes, you are there. They accepted to go and look out for people that can come and build sports academy in my local government. What is my duty as a local government chairman, if I become the local government chairman, is to bring a platform, make the environment better for them. Help them get people that we try to encourage my people to offer their land, bring their land as part of the equity to establish such edifice. And at long run, they will benefit from it. Their family will benefit, and every person in Ojiriva will benefit for it. This is the kind of thinking that drives me into entrepreneurship. Even as a local government chairman, all those things are, once they are harnessed, government is business. People say government is, no, government is business. And you have to use your business intellectuals to make sure that it works. Otherwise, it will die.
I mean, I agree with you. All of these points that you've just mentioned, young people have to go out there. It is really important. You hammer on it so much that it is so comprehensive. Young people have to go out there to search for opportunity. And opportunities are always around available problems that people are going through. And then if you identify those problems, you think around the solution to provide. Because every millionaire or billionaire today, they are solving specific problems that the society has encountered or still encountering. Dangote did not become a billionaire just for doing anything. He becomes a billionaire. He becomes a billionaire to solving people's problems, giving people what they exactly need. And then they are paying him for getting that solution in return. And this is highly commendable at the same time when you're talking about government itself is business. If you don't treat it very well, if you do not think disruptively on how you can bring innovation into process, structure, and solution itself, and even bringing people that have leadership mindset, bringing a team together that can actually provide solutions to the identified societal problem, it will crumble. You are also a lawyer. We know we talked about it earlier. You're also a lawyer. What do you see as the legal perspectives on the social issues that is happening in our society? So how do you connect the legal perspective you have to how are we going to solve the social issues that we have in our society? For example, in Nigeria, or maybe urging by local government in your region.
Actually, there are a lot of things that have been bedeviling the society vis-a-vis the unemployment. That's why, as a lawyer, as a trained lawyer, there is difference between lawyer and barrister. That's a topic for another day. As a lawyer, he has forced me the opportunity of being able to decipher law from real, at times there's this balance we say in law, following the law, seek to saying so. For instance, in my community, for instance, yes, you discover there are vices amongst the youths. Everybody cannot think like Splendor too. It's not possible. Because they may not have had the opportunity I had, and it's possible that their orientation may be different from mine. So what do we do when such peoples are they are very much amenable to vices? What do we do? That's where we bring the carrot and the stick approach. Bring them. For instance, in my place, I have a lot of vices going on within the flank. That Oji River, is a border local government that he has is bordering in Enugu, but he has a boundary with Alhambra in one area, then Imo State, and some part of Abia. So it starts as a transit route for crime. Now, because of that, there are a lot of youths there. What do they do for a living? Some of them before now, they were involved in agriculture. Unfortunately, the problem of herdsmen has been a very serious problem. There's this balance, but it's true. Man must work. And now some of them, in a bid for them to eat, they go into vices. They want to feel, before they will get into drug peddling, so that they can make money out of it to sustain their living. Legally, by law. We have to deal with them, confront them. By law, law says if you are found handling drug, this is what the law will do to you. But beyond law, what do we do? What's the number one problem? How to find food for them. That they may not have the idea. How do I create an environment that will bring food to them first? And then much they can sell to make money for themselves. When they make money for themselves, some of them will go out of vice. We are not saying that if you empower your people, if you empower some of these youths socially, of course, you see them doing well. Someone, at least, you'll be able to reduce about more than 80%. They will take them out of drug, take them out of vices. That's why why do you think there was a massive move? They say, let me use, for instance, the last election. You sat down, they were listening to candidates, bringing up ideas, speaking to them. They were able to decipher those ones that are saying the things that are possible. And once those things are implemented, they'll be okay. That was why you saw various kinds of movements that swept over the country at that time. Nigerian youths are not lazy. They are not lazy. But some of them, they need to be channeled. They need to be schooled. They need not just a formal school, but informal school. For instance, I had some contact with some of my friends who are searchers. In searchers, they are trading forex. It's a skill anybody can learn. If these people can come and teach some of my youth, you see, many of them are graduates, they're not doing anything. Call them together. As a local government chairman, can I provide a platform for them to learn these skills? So we need to first of all, look for the solution to the perennial problems of hunger, the challenges of the youth. You get these ones, those ones that need to be saved, save them out of it. And then those ones that, who, no matter what you are able to put on ground for them to be taken out of crime, and they remain in crime, the law will take its course.
In your leadership journey, what are the lessons that you've learned from leadership over the years?
Thank you. So many lessons. One, I, as a young person, aspire to be a good leader. I discover early the place of mentorship in leadership. Your mentor might not be from your local government. It might not be from your state. There are people that I look up to. I have to do some little study about Lee Kuan Yew, somebody that turned a third world country into a first world country. And I looked at him. He doesn't have a super brain. He's a human. Even though Lee Kuan Yew is not from Nigeria, but I so much love the man. I read his books. So the likes of Obama, I try to look at what are those innovative approaches, all that done differently, that made them to, take their own country, their own environment from where they were to a greater height. Okay, look at what Paul Kagame is doing at his country now. Look at what is happening in Ghana. These are people. And most recently, the likes of the new Senegalese president. You see, when you listen to some of these people, you discover that it's very difficult to separate people from their words. Throughout my school, I call it school because it's a journey of learning in leadership. Mentorship is not something I joke with. I look at these mentors, I look at them and try to understand or study how they perform. What are those things that they did that made it to succeed? It may not be exactly the same because the environmental factor differs. But from their inspiration, you'll be able to tailor your own program to the need of your people. Another thing is that don't expect that when you are in leadership, you will not be challenged. Like I gave an example of somebody that confronted me and said, why are you here? If not that I am poised to create a change, I would have, in fact, that's one alone would have taken me out of the system. I said, so somebody identified me as a kind of decent person. You want to plug in politics. I had so many stories like that. I explained the why politics now. Why politics? I said, why not politics? Like I told people, I am into politics because I want to give leadership. And that's the only platform. If you are not there, you cannot give leadership. So if you don't have that frame of mind that you for instance, in Nigeria, you don't have nothing like independent candidates. Of course, you also have to apply your trade through a platform. Look for a political party that can make impact. Listen, that can make impact in your environment. So I have said mentorship. I said looking at the platforms and knowing the available opportunities for you. And the third one, I said, one of my friends those days told me, Splendor, he called me one day, said, look, there are three things that makes a man. Politically, it can read you. Socially, it can read you. But if you can manage them very, very well, you will go find politics. I said, what is it? He said there are woman, how to manage ladies around you, money, and ego. Three important things. If you become a local government chairman, you will be out of circulation. People will not be calling you. They will not be seeing you. And Splendor will become one kind demigod somewhere. That's the problem of the politics. I know I'm aware that once you occupy such a position, there's possibility that you will be more busier, but not to the extent that you don't have friends who come to you again. It's not so. You have to separate those things and make sure that politics will not change your character. Instead, your character will affect your political environment.
You said politics would not affect your character. Instead, your character affects your environment. And that is a very, very solid point to put out there, because people confuse things from one to the other. If the character doesn't stand, it means that your environment is going to shape your character. If your character stands, your character will shape your environment. And thank you for saying that. So from all of these lessons and all of these ventures in law, entrepreneurship, engineering, and governance, what do you see as your legacy looking into the future?
Looking into the future, I want to bet as many splendors as possible. No man is an island. Splendor alone cannot change the whole Nigeria. It's not possible. Tinubu alone cannot change the whole Nigeria. So I am confident that in the process of getting into leadership, I'm aware, I'm very conscious of the fact that there are people that are looking up to me, just like this platform. I have to open up a channel to relate with them, to mentor them, to make sure that I reproduce the lives of splendor that will create the impact that is needed. So it's very, very interesting. So I'm looking out that in the years ahead, there are a lot of splendors who think like me, who does things like me, who will want to impact their own environment, wherever, no matter where the local government is located. I was a student of one professor that has he runs a leadership school. And I know the kind of, outside being busy with so many other things, I go to take important lectures and seminars that are important for me to grow as a leader. No leader knows it all. You must have to study. And I want to have students who will study under me to create a greater impact.
Your journey is very inspiring. Not just inspiring, it helps us to understand the DNA of a true leader, and also someone who is really, really passionate about their environment, who truly wants to make impact. So from all of this, you've mentioned, mentorship in the lessons from leadership. You mentioned being very open and a couple of things. So from all of those things, we know that, people like you read books. You read books. So could you share one or two books that has changed your life?
Buying the Future, Learning to Negotiate. I read that book, was introduced to me by Professor Anibogo of Institute of National Transformation. So I underwent through his program and took lecture, and he gave us access to some of the books. Those books were the things that affected the way I think. Like when I said, there's this book that I read, From the Third World to the First World, that's the Singaporean example by Lee Kuan Yew. Very voluminous. I have not even finished reading it, but once in a while I go back, get this book, take some important pages and go through them. So these are some of the things that the books that I've come across, and I will always want to, anybody that is looking up to me, to look at those books. They are going to inspire you to be greater than me, not just to be like me.
To be greater than you, not just to be like you. Wow. I mean, this is becoming like a leadership lesson. It is like sitting down with a cup of tea or coffee, whatever you like, and ready upon the lesson that has been reached out by yourself. And this is me, according to what we do in the Impact Badger platform, ending this conversation with a quote from Jack Welch. This quote from Jack Welch, he said, "Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. And this quote is just, I think this quote, because it's speaking specifically to you. You went ahead to develop yourself by getting the education first, by undergoing the training that it truly requires to become a leader. And after you've done that, you went out to seek for platforms that you need to use to impact people. Not just some people, but a huge number of people. And you are replicating that in the minds and hearts of other young people. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for building leaders. Thank you for impacting your community, the society. And thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very great. I'm very, very elated for you to have me in this global platform. You wouldn't know what you are doing. But I want to assure you that what you have started is going to really impact in Africa and stamp a bigger mark in the life of young people in Africa.